Two guys who peaked in high school and one incredible sports broadcaster. We'll let you decide who that is. It's the Big Three Podcast with Brady Klain, Jack Kaiser, and Sam Wiederhaft.
Hey, we're back again.
Hey.
Good to see you guys.
Jack, Sam, a pleasure as always.
Long time no see.
Yeah. We saw each other on Monday. We played a half a round. Nice 9 holes at Twin Lakes, where Brady is so kindly a member and got us in for free.
Yes, of course. Delightful. And the answer to the question, by the way, I think we can jump on this right away, is there's 2 people who peaked in high school and one incredible broadcaster. Only one of us is the MVP. So I think that's a pretty obvious answer there.
MVP in a program of like 30 to 40 people. So I
tough competition.
take that with a grain of salt. But as far as our round of golf, it was interesting. It started out slow. We had some people with carts pushing us from behind. We were practicing safe social distancing
Of course.
and, proper, what's the word?
Social distancing guidelines.
Yeah. We were following guidelines. We were staying pretty much 6 feet apart. We didn't use golf carts, which if there's anything that's going to be contaminated at a golf course, it's the golf carts. They do a good job cleaning and everything. I get it. But we decided to walk. It's good for our health. We barely walk. We don't run. We don't exercise. I mean, come on. So yeah, we decide to walk, slow start. And by the end of the 9 holes, we were gassed. We were toast.
Who's this we you're talking about? I walked 18 the other day.
Maybe it was just me. Sam?
It was you.
No, I'll have you guys know that after that round, I was sore for the next 2 days, and I'm just now getting over it.
Yeah.
And also, when I sent out the promotional tweet about the podcast about an hour ago, I mentioned our round of golf, retweeted by an account called Golf Ball Finder. So hopefully that Twitter account can find my 5 golf balls that I probably either dumped in the lake or lost in a tree.
You guys called me the MVP, and I will take credit for being the MVP of our round of golf. I think I bogeyed like 4 or 5 holes in a row, which is outstanding for me, by the way. And we didn't keep score specifically, but if we weren't keeping score, I'd like to claim the victory.
We'll give it to you. I wasn't even close.
I'll give it to you.
Brady started out hot. I'll give him that. He started out hitting some very good balls. But no, I found my stroke. So I think I got 1 par. That's really good for me. So I'll take it. Did you guys see?
I was golfing the other day and I birdied a par 3. So that was a pretty proud moment for me there.
Hey man, that's the beauty of par 3s. They can be a total disaster, but if you hit 1 great shot, just 1, you get a birdie.
You're good.
Did you guys see that Jay Cutler and Kristen Cavallari, whatever the hell her name is, they're getting divorced?
Yes, of course. It's so sad to hear. The great Jay Cutler is divorcing his wife, and she says she's leaving him for him being lazy.
I mean,
yeah. Are we surprised?
No.
He kind of comes off as a lazy guy, but at the same time, he worked his butt off for 12 years and provided millions. So why doesn't she get a job?
He actually froze all of his assets.
A reality show.
He froze all of his assets and stopped all of the credit cards and everything. So he said to her, go get your own money.
That is the ultimate Jay Cutler move right there.
Oh, so Jay Cutler.
I feel like the Bears would absolutely love him as their quarterback right now. I'm serious.
They love anybody as their quarterback.
That's who they need.
I think all Bears fans would take Jay Cutler in his prime right now.
Yeah.
I think they'll take just about anybody. They'll take Carson Palmer at this point.
Ooh, Carson Palmer, throwback USC Cardinals reference. Good one, Sam.
We're 5 minutes into the show, and that's the first USC reference.
We will see where we get. Michael Pittman Jr. is another topic of conversation, so that'll be another USC reference waiting to happen. But yeah, speaking of Michael Pittman Jr. and the Colts, NFL schedule was released yesterday, guys. What do you think?
I'll say this. I'll jump in pretty quickly on the Colts schedule is they haven't had a home primetime football game since 2015.
Yep.
And they still don't.
Oh, wait. No, you see, I thought that too, but I looked it up. They played the Steelers on Thursday night of Thanksgiving in 2017, I believe. Or 16.
It may have been 16 then. I know they played the Broncos on a Thursday night football game. Where did the Color Rush?
Yep, that's right.
Whatever it was, the Colts once again the last 3 years don't have a home primetime football game, and they have one primetime game, and I think it's at the Jaguars on a Thursday night. Come on. I thought the Colts were supposed to be like one of the hot teams to watch this year.
Yeah, so here's my thing about that. How do you give a 7-9 team last year a primetime game this year? I mean,
Hello, Tampa
Bay Buccaneers. One game, but I don't know why these Colts fans are saying that they have Tom Brady.
It doesn't matter.
Tom Brady. How can you not put Tom Brady in primetime?
They have the Buccaneers have 5 primetime games. 5.
I think it's well-deserved. I mean, the Colts have Phillip Rivers, who's obviously a historical quarterback, a fantastic quarterback, who's at the very tail end of his career. I just don't see any excitement around, outside Indianapolis of how you can put this team in primetime. They went 7-9 last year, and I don't agree with Colts fans saying, "Oh, we deserve a home primetime game."
I'll jump in here. Obviously, Colts fan, Brady Colts fan. Sam, you're a Saints fan, correct?
I'm neutral. I used to be a big Saints fan. I kind of fell out of touch.
You see, you can't just jump around and fade into oblivion like that, Sam. You got to pick a team and you got to stick with them, okay? Anyways.
No, I know.
My initial reaction was Brady's take. I mean, come on. Really? I thought they were one of the hot teams this year. But just looking at the entire situation, I agree with Sam. I don't think that they're getting primetime games for a few reasons. They had a bad year last year, 7-9, like you said, Sam. They've missed the playoffs 4 of the last 5 years. Phillip Rivers, yes, he's a name, but he's an old quarterback, and he's not the greatest of all time like Tom Brady. They don't have Andrew Luck. They have an under-the-radar coach. Frank Reich isn't necessarily a big name, and they haven't been very good in prime time. I mean, we follow this team, so we see the potential of the Colts. We see some young pieces that they have, some of the acquisitions that they've made, but I mean, we're Colts fans. The national audience doesn't care about seeing DeForest Buckner plug the A gap or Phillip Rivers throwing a 10-yard out to Michael Pittman Jr. We may get excited about Michael Pittman Jr. because of, we're Colts fans. We did a little bit of research on him after the draft, but I mean, that doesn't excite a national audience like Patrick Mahomes does or Tom Brady does on Sunday night or Monday night. So I looked up the primetime record of the Colts in the last 5 years, 17 primetime games, including this year, the one they got for this upcoming season, in the last 6 years, including this next season. In the last 5 years, they've had 16. 13 of those have been on the road, I believe. The Colts record in those 16 games is 4-12. And the Colts are 0-3 at home in primetime games in the last 5 years.
Listen, I'm not saying it's, warranted schedule-wise or the wow factor of this Colts team. I'm just saying there should be a rotational schedule within the NFL. Obviously, some teams are going to be more entertaining to watch. Like, tell me you wouldn't love watching a Packers Buccaneers or Packers Saints or something like a big time, Kansas City Chiefs Baltimore Ravens Monday night game, or the what was it, Chiefs Rams a couple years ago, that Monday night game in LA. Yeah, those games are going to be awesome to watch, but those happen once a year. You got 15, 16 other weeks to fill.
I get it. Like, I think the Colts deserve to be in a couple more primetime spots based on some of the free agent pickups that they made, some of the draft picks. I think they're going to be a pretty good team this year, but until they prove it in prime time that they can win, and they prove it over the course of the season that they are a good team. Right now, I don't like it, but I understand the choice to not give them more than one primetime game. It is what it is.
It's fair.
I mean, what's scheduling a primetime game all about? It's all about ratings. And the Colts have, Phillip Rivers is going to get ratings, but he's really the only guy. And I like what you said, Kaiser, about, no one's really going to care outside of Indianapolis about DeForest Buckner plugging the A gap. That's completely right. I mean, Phillip Rivers is the only player on that roster that can get any sort of ratings in prime time. And that's why there's only one primetime game for the Colts, and it's on the road.
I kind of beg to differ on that one. Whereas I think if you could put a good divisional game on a primetime game. So what's like one of the Colts' best always scheduled is the Colts in Houston. The Colts at the Texans is always a very tough, a very fun, hard fought game. We saw that the wild card game a couple of years ago that the Colts won. And so that was, a good matchup. We always see T.Y. Hilton go off. Funny enough, you guys say you don't want to see DeForest Buckner plug the A gap, or fans around the country don't want to see DeForest Buckner plug the A gap. But look at his same position on the other side of the ball. Fans love watching Quentin Nelson run around and run over people all across the country.
Yeah, I mean, pancake blocks produce highlights, but making a tackle for no gain doesn't really do that. So, I mean, that's all I'm saying. He doesn't play an exciting position. So I thought, realistically, I thought the Colts would get one Thursday night game like every team does, and one Sunday/Monday night game. Agreed. I thought that would happen maybe, the week the Packers come to town. I thought that might have been a good opportunity to see Phillip Rivers versus Aaron Rodgers, but there's also a lot of other games each week that a lot of other fan bases would say are compelling. So I get it. I don't like it. Of course, I want to see the Colts play in prime time, but it's a reality we're just going to have to accept. But maybe this gives the team a little bit of an extra chip on their shoulder, and they play even better than we think they may. So, yeah, I don't know. All right. What other things stood out to you guys about the NFL schedule release?
One thing that always stands out to me and has for the last couple of years is how each team releases their schedule.
Yeah.
And so, this year, obviously, a lot of teams went with the quarantine, have players record videos from their houses or have like a fake Zoom or Skype meeting. The Chargers had a really good one. They had some first responders and people that are still working during the pandemic. They surprised them all, like they're paying their groceries for the next month. The Chargers are. And then they had those people read the schedule, which was pretty cool. The Colts had a really good one where they had all these players in different locations say each week and what they're playing. And then you cut to Quentin Nelson, like I said, and he's just stone-faced. Camera zooms right into his face, and he just goes, bye week. Great content there. The best one that I saw was the Denver Broncos. Their new social media coordinator, I believe, is a former Carmel alumni. It's Joe Abdella. He was
sounds really familiar.
He probably knows younger brother Ross Abdella. Joe was the social media director and videographer for the Oklahoma City Thunder for a while, and now jumped over to Denver and is with the Broncos. And they did a Full House parody, which a lot of teams have done, but it's a good one. So that's what sticks out to me is how each team releases their schedule and the different things that teams do to promote their players and schedules. It's really, really fun and really entertaining.
On that note, something I wanted to bring up is the Rams used our boys from Indy, Joey Molinaro and Ben Polizzi. And Joey's Joey's now at Barstool, but they had those guys do their, kind of cheesy dad jokes in relation to each team each week. So I encourage you to go look up the Rams schedule release. It was pretty funny.
I will say this.
It was awesome.
For the other podcast that I'm on, we tried to get Joey. I'll wait a little longer, but since he just started with Barstool, he can't do any other podcasts yet. So we'll see if we can work on that for the future. But he's probably got a little bit of time. Let me check out the Rams. I didn't see that at all. That was funny.
Yeah, no, it was pretty sweet. Some people don't think he's very funny. I think he's hilarious.
I think he's great.
It's hilarious. His Colin Cowherd is like right on the spot.
Yeah, it is. His Mike Golick Jr. is really good too.
Yeah, his Kuiper's decent. He's still got
Yeah.
some work to do on that. Obviously he's become good friends with Frank Caliendo, who is the top of the top. And I don't know if did you see Caliendo's video about the schedules being releases of all the coaches?
Yes.
Oh man, his Bruce Arians is awesome.
Yeah.
Bruce Arians was really good. Really good. Did you see New
Brady,
England?
I like what you said about the
Go ahead, Sam.
wait, what? No, you go. I was on a totally different topic.
Okay. I said, did you see that New England got 5 primetime games still?
See, that surprises me. I don't know. I don't know. I mean, Belichick's obviously a huge name, and you talk about Reich being kind of an under the radar coach, and you got Belichick, who's a top tier head coach, and that's probably why they're doing it. And fans are going to be interested to see how this Patriots dynasty kind of fizzles out, just because all the pieces just kind of went away all at once. With the big one being Tom Brady. So, 5 games is a little much. I was expecting maybe 2 or 3, but no, I think the main interest is people trying to see, all right, how are they going to recuperate after the Brady years?
I'll say this too, is Belichick is still one of the most marketable. I'd say not marketable, but he's one of the most forefront faces in the NFL.
Yeah, I mean,
with or without Tom Brady, you're going to need to see Bill Belichick in football.
You're right. I think Sam hit it on the button. People want to see if he can win without Tom Brady. So you got to show Tom Brady a lot. Got to show Bill Belichick a lot. I didn't think
it's kind of like the NBA still showing the Spurs in prime time. They don't have all the pieces, but they still have Greg Popovich.
Yeah, great dynasty. So I understand.
Yep.
But as Colts fans, wouldn't mind seeing them go 8-8 with Jared Stidham in his second year, and that would be very nice to see. All right.
I did like that week 1 matchup with the Buccaneers and the Saints. I think that's going to be a fantastic game.
Yeah.
Great
start week 1 divisional. It's going to be great.
Tom Brady's time. And yeah, I mean, that's an awesome matchup.
I mean, there's a lot of good matchups. So listen, I get that Colts fans want more primetime games, but in each week that you think, oh, they could have had a primetime game, I guarantee there's another matchup that is almost as good, if not better. Yeah. So it's understandable. It's a tough process. Do you guys know how the schedule is made? Like, do the owners make it?
The league does it. The owners don't.
Okay.
The league does it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I wonder, obviously matchup has a lot to do with it, but I wonder, logistically, if there's anything about a certain stadium that turns the league or Sunday Night Football production crew, Monday Night Football production crew off about going there.
I mean, what's the latest primetime Packers game in the season? Because, I mean, they love, and I say they, Thursday, Sunday, and Monday Night Football, love showing Snowy Lambeau. Love Snowy Lambeau. So if you can get a primetime Packers game in middle December, they're going to jump all over that.
I'm just thinking of, setting up cameras and maybe running cables and everything like that. If there's anything about certain stadiums that make it really difficult, and then that could be sort of a tiebreaker between one matchup versus another, little things like that. I mean, you just don't know.
I mean, it doesn't matter. Every game's still going to have cameras and cables and all that stuff going. So
I know, but certain production crews have more
larger,
cameras. Sunday Night Football has a bazillion.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know. Just
you'll be seeing a Snowy Lambeau on Sunday, December 27th for a Sunday night game against the Titans at 7:20 Central.
There you
time.
go.
So 8:20.
There you go.
Eastern time. Yep.
About a 95% chance that there will be a lot of snow on the ground.
It'll be snowy. It'll be 12, 15, 20 degrees.
Aaron Rodgers will have a bushy beard with little snowflakes hanging off. It'll be majestic.
Oh yeah.
Hey, you'll get the cheese heads with the shirts off and everything. It's going to be great.
You'll get everybody. You'll get all the crazies up in Green Bay.
I mean, I can't even stand outside with just like a jacket on when it's like 20 degrees. I get way too cold. I don't know how those, I mean, I guess a lot of the guys that do that are a little bit heftier, so they have some more warmth in there. Let's just say that.
Is that how that works?
Yeah, that's how it works.
Yeah.
Little biology lesson.
Yeah. The skinny guys like me that do that, I have no idea how it's done. I mean, man. Okay. NBA. So we don't know if it's going to come back. If they do come back, it looks like the start of next season will be pushed back. So what are these players doing right now? I assume that they said they've been working out, but some claim that they haven't shot a basketball since the start or the end of the season when everything went down with Rudy Gobert and all that. There's no way, right?
There's no way, but one of the things that you have to think about is players' accessibility to a hoop, right? So say you're on the Indiana Pacers, you're on the Cleveland Cavaliers, you're on the Oklahoma City Thunder, you're on a Midwest, you're on a, rural team. You probably have a hoop in your backyard. You probably have a hoop in your driveway. You go shoot. That's fine. Say you're playing for the Brooklyn Nets, the New York Knicks, the Clippers, the Lakers. You're probably not having a hoop in your apartment. You probably don't have access to, go out in the middle of Brooklyn and shoot hoops at Rucker Park. You don't have the ability to go to the Lifetime Fitness because everything's shut down. So I'd say depending on where it is, they probably haven't shot. I'd say some of these guys have put up shots, but nothing a full training regimen besides, the basic working out, not a full basketball workout.
Sam, what do you think?
Well, correct me if I'm wrong, guys, but I think the NBA, opened some facilities today. Some team facilities, I think, opened today. It was like the first day of.
They were
open.
slated to open today, but one team held back, so they're pushing it back another week.
Okay.
So they're all holding it back.
Since
Okay.
one team, it didn't give a fair opportunity for everybody.
So
I mean, that's why it's so tough,
It's been about 2 months since everything got canceled. You're telling me that in the span of 2 months, I know Giannis has been documented saying, I don't have a hoop, like I live in an apartment. You're telling me that Giannis, the MVP, arguably the best basketball player on the planet, has not found a park, has not found a way to pay somebody to let him into a Lifetime Fitness to get up some shots. There is no way that he has not shot a basketball in the last 2 months. I just don't believe it.
I mean, when Tom Brady first moved down to Tampa, what was one of the big stories that came out is, one, he walked into some random person's house instead of Byron Leftwich, and two, someone from the parks department came and said, hey, you can't be here. Oh, wait, you're Tom Brady.
Yeah.
My girlfriend, Sydney Cooley, her dad just proposed this to me the other day. Like, you're telling me that if Victor Oladipo went to Jim Inskeep, the athletic director of Carmel, and said, hey, like, I need to get some shots up. I don't have anywhere to go. Like, is there any way you can just let me in? I won't, I'm just going to go shoot around at Carmel High School. They're going to do it.
Yeah.
They're going to do it. So they're going to find some creative ways to get shots up.
It's tough when you don't have a timeline too. I hate to draw this parallel because I know a lot more about the MLB than I do the NBA, but I know that, batters in the MLB aren't hitting right now. So that doesn't shock me that people aren't shooting right now in the NBA. And also, you want to talk about load management. This is the best load management you can get.
Oh,
I mean, you're going to get 2 months of rest. Yes. I mean, that's become such a big topic in the NBA over the past few years. I'm not surprised at all that people aren't getting shots up or working out, but we know that Lonzo Ball is lifting. So no matter what, Lonzo Ball's been lifting. So
I will say this, if the NBA season comes back, if LeBron sits out one game for load management or fake injury, he needs to get scrutinized for that, because you're taking 2 months off, you're drinking wine, you're eating food, you're doing TikToks with your kids. Get in the gym, Bron. He probably has, though. Knowing LeBron, he's been working out every single day. He's been staying in shape. That's one of the big things too, is when you're this good and you're that high level of an athlete at your sport. LeBron, Kawhi, Kevin Durant's injured, but Kevin Durant, guys like that, MVPs in the league, they don't need to be putting shots up every day. They just have to be staying in shape.
Not every day, but if you go 2 months without shooting a basketball and you're used to doing it every day, I wasn't an MVP of baseball.
No, you weren't.
No. If I went 1 week without swinging a bat, it was rough next time I did. So I think that's true to a degree for anybody at any level in any sport. If you're used to doing something every day and you don't do it for 2 months, it's going to be pretty rough when you come back. So I anticipate that, okay, they can practice, they can, do some pickup in practice before, the games actually resume, whenever that is. Let's say it's July. I anticipate the shooting's going to be abysmal. Like we're all used to compare it to us. Like, okay, we can shoot around in our driveway. We can hit every shot. And then the next time we play pickup, we brick our first 5 shots because we're not used to running up and down the floor and having to do it when you're tired. So I expect the shooting to be pretty bad whenever the NBA comes back.
Yeah.
Well, I think, you're still going to have a timeline set, right? So whenever they say, okay, we're going to resume the season, they'll have, probably a month, I'd say, to kind of get ready for. And then, I think once a timeline is set, then you're going to start seeing players start to obviously train a lot more. And that's pretty obvious stuff. So I don't think that's something to worry about at all.
That'll help. But I'm just saying there's nothing like a real game when you get back to it. So I think the first week or few games or whatever it is, we're going to see some low percentages from the field.
Do you, if you're the NBA, have, a week of preseason, as in everyone plays 2 to 3 games to get everybody back in shape, to make sure, every team can follow proper protocol that's put in place, or whatever is happening there for the NBA and the NBA side of things?
It's not a bad idea. Maybe play a couple preseason games against, a team in your area. Like the Pacers could scrimmage the Bulls in a couple of games.
Yeah. Bulls or Cavs, or, even Milwaukee's close enough where
you're
getting talent, and then you disperse from there. But you play, you have it at one spot, so it doesn't really matter who wins. So Pacers fly up to Milwaukee, whatever, play 2 to 3 games against the Bucks for a couple days, and then go their separate ways.
Yeah. Colin Cowherd brought up a pretty interesting point about this the other day with Adam Silver. He called him out for being a little bit weak on the issue of bringing back the NBA season and being too concerned about the NBA and his image on social media. And he needs to have more of a backbone. And that's honestly the first criticism I've heard of Adam Silver. Maybe that's because he's done a good job of walking on eggshells and maintaining that image on social media and with the target market, which I think for the NBA, we could agree is millennials. So I just thought it was an interesting point that, the NFL is pretty much set. We are coming back in the fall. That's that. UFC, Dana White, I don't care. We are going to start fighting. I haven't heard criticism of Adam Silver before.
No, this is really the first criticisms I've heard of Silver, regarded as the best commissioner in, major 4 sports.
Yeah.
And if you look at this isn't, this is a time where everyone's getting criticized, no matter which side he stands on. So say he says, all right, we're going to bring it back in June. The people say, well, why bring it back in June? Why even bother waiting to bring it back? So just push it off to the next season. You're going to have the other half say, well, if you're bringing it back in June, why not bring it back in May or July or earlier than that? I got my months mixed up. Bring it back in May. So start it earlier. So you're going to have both sides of things. So yeah, this is going to be the one point where he is criticized, whereas everything he's done up to this point has been pretty non-controversial. It's been pretty straightforward. It's been saying, we're putting in challenges. And everyone's like, okay, that's it.
You're right. Everything right now is controversial. Everything that you do.
I
So you got to have
feel
some
like
thick
the
skin.
NBA is also the. I feel like the NBA is also the only league that we're, kind of not talking about right now, because you have the NFL have their draft and everything's going on there, and there's speculation about that season. You have Major League Baseball, and at least we've seen some sort of plan, right? With Major League Baseball trying to start their season. I haven't really heard too much about what the NBA is going to do. I mean, we thought, they were going to have a plan to open facilities. That phased out, didn't work. So we haven't really heard too much about what the NBA is going to be doing. So that's where I think Colin Cowherd's coming from with that criticism of Adam Silver.
I will say this: as little we've heard about the NBA, we've heard even less from the NHL.
You're right. And
well, I think that's just the audience. It's not as big of an audience.
Well, you're right, but I don't think I haven't heard anything from the NFL or from the MLB, NHL, whichever sport I'm talking about. From the NHL, I haven't heard, anything. And I've got friends that work within professional hockey and things like that. And I'm asking them updates, and like, we've got nothing. They've heard nothing.
I think both of you are right. I think part of that is maybe they need some stronger leadership. Maybe they need to get their crap together and find a plan. But part of the reason we aren't hearing about it, as Sam said, is NHL is the fourth most popular sport. So
I will say this: they also have the fourth worst commissioner, or the worst commissioner of all the sports.
Really?
Gary Bettman's terrible.
Didn't even know his name.
Terrible.
Yeah, me too.
Terrible.
I'm right there with you.
Not going to pretend like I do. Not going to BS it.
Yeah, me neither.
Yeah. So I don't know what's going to happen, but it just seems like the NFL is going to go on as scheduled. College football is even, they've talked about plans, but the NBA just seems like, what are we going to do? I don't know. And it seems like Adam Silver maybe needs to assert some of his authority that he has a little bit more than he has in the past, because really it's been a player-run league. And now's the time where it needs to be a commissioner-run league. So
Agreed.
We will see.
Yeah.
Sticking with the NBA, Last Dance, episodes 5 and 6, great. Preview for episodes 7 and 8. They're going to talk about Jordan playing baseball. I literally just missed my fingers. I tried to go like this. So I went like
Is that where you're wearing the White Sox jacket?
No, I just like the White Sox, and I was going to put on a quarter zip. Basement a little bit chilly. Didn't want to look like a total hobo. So, yeah, I just thought I'd throw this puppy on. But it fits well. So they're talking about Jordan's baseball venture, and they also talk about his fight with Steve Kerr, the infamous fight in practice where him and Kerr get into it. Phil Jackson puts Steve Kerr on MJ. Kerr shoves him, and then MJ punches him in the face. The first thought I had was, let's, kind of dissect our personalities a little bit here. If someone shoved you, would you immediately punch them in the face?
I'm going to come out and say no, not immediately. Depending on the context, if you shove me, I'll be like, hey man, like what the hell? What are you doing?
Exactly.
And then if they shove me again, then you're getting it. Two shoves.
Sam, what about
two shoves?
Two shoves for Brady. Sam, what about you?
People see my height at 5'5" and think I have like little man syndrome or something. That would, kind of trigger a punch back after a shove.
Sam punches like Rock'em Sock'em Rope.
No, I'm a chill guy. Yeah. Hey, you haven't seen my form, man. I got a pretty solid right hand. No. Listen, that's only MJ. I think after watching, I didn't watch 5 and 6, but I watched the first 4 episodes and learning about, more about who he was and his personality and everything, and the kind of competitor he was. Honestly, only an MJ thing that would happen. I wouldn't. That's for sure. But it sounds like it kind of set a fire underneath that team, and it set a fire underneath Steve Kerr as well.
Yeah, that wouldn't happen today, first of all. And I agree. It's really an MJ thing. toughness, fights, everything like that, more associated with that era of basketball. But even some of the big names then, Magic, Bird, you just can't really imagine them punching a dude in the face in practice.
In practice, no, but in games, absolutely, yes.
Yeah. I mean, we've seen the fights the Knicks used to get into and all that.
Bad Boys Pistons too.
Yeah, exactly. But practice, I mean, that was the tough love that MJ chose to show, and he felt that was going to make his team better, and he felt that was going to lead them to a championship. As far as me, I don't know. If someone punched me, I wouldn't be afraid to punch them back, but I'm not the type of person to immediately escalate to a punch. That's just not who I am. Yeah. So I don't know. If Steve Kerr shoved me back, probably would have shoved him back, Let's punch each other here.
Let's get a little Zoom fight going. Can we do that?
There we go.
Nice.
Wow. We've really gone off the rails here.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I think that's kind of the persona that MJ chose to embrace. And I think people are really getting a good look at that now. Not everybody saw the MJ that was willing to punch a teammate in the face to win. They saw the MJ in commercials in that era. And so that generation of people, and then us who never even watched MJ play, we're getting that look, which is incredibly fascinating, which is why the ratings are through the roof. So, I mean, what do you guys think? Do you think MJ is coming off as pretty much a total ass right now?
I mean, he's always sort of been like that. He's always sort of been an ass. People have known him as an ass, but he also said in the documentary this last week is, people want to say, what's a day like in Michael Jordan's shoes, or what's a week like, or what's a year like? And he's like, I wouldn't want to wish that upon anybody. And that's kind of sad to hear him say, he wouldn't want that because, yes, he's at the point he was the most famous man in the world. And now he's coming off like an asshole.
Yeah. But at the same time, I mean, it's thrust him back into the spotlight.
That it has. He's also worth $1 billion. So hate me or hate me not, I don't really care.
What was did you guys see that? He had like some sort of memorabilia sell for or it was listed at like $50,000. And then just in these past couple of weeks, it's now sold for $90,000 or something since the documentary came out.
It's rookie cards. It's rookie cards.
That's it. Yeah.
Mint condition rookie cards.
That's bizarre. That is bizarre. I mean, it's literally all because of this documentary, and people are becoming more informed, and his name's starting to get a lot more talked about. So I just think that's really cool. As somebody who didn't see him play, to go back and learn about all those things, it's definitely been some sort of excitement in the sports world. That's for sure.
Speaking of the spotlight, look who's here. Griffin Gonzalez, whose microphone is muted right now.
There you go.
I'm still figuring out the whole Zoom thing, guys. I'm sorry. It's not like I've lived my life on this app for the past year. Hi, boys. How are you doing?
Great. How are you, buddy?
What's up, Gonzo?
Honestly, I'm here in Florida. It's 79 degrees today. It's a little too humid. I'm going to be honest. It's almost too hot to be outside. It's kind of
go inside then, because it's pretty windy too.
Yeah, you got some wind noise in your mic, man.
Oh, is the wind noise too bad?
It's pretty bad.
Okay, we'll move. We'll move. How about that? Is that better?
That's better.
Sure.
Am I blocking it with my body? How about the view of the water behind me? Is that better?
Don't fall.
Oh my God. You got a good tan going on, I'll say that.
Dude, you look so tan.
Gonzalez last name comes with some benefits, boys. The lineage of skin cells. So, it gets some benefit.
All right, Gonzalez, get your ass inside.
You know what?
Griffin is tan year round. Let's just say that.
He's tan year round, but this is like extra tan for Griffin.
So, were you guys talking Jordan Doc a second ago? Was that what I was hearing?
Yeah.
So, fun fact: one of my friends from IU is doing the nanny life in Palm Beach right now, and the people she's nannying for as we speak, the dad she's nannying for is actually golfing with Michael Jordan right now. So, right on topic there.
Wow.
How much money? How much money are they betting on that, huh?
Just a couple hundred. Well, I'm not sure, but I know she was nannying for. She must live on like the nicest street in Florida because, ooh, big ditch there. She was nannying for the Rooney's grandchildren yesterday.
Really?
The owners of the Steelers. Yeah. So that's a pretty solid job in my opinion. But
Yeah, what the hell are we doing? We should be nannying there.
Nannies. Go take some care of some kids.
honestly, maybe that's what Woj and Schefter are doing in their free time. Maybe they're just nannies, and that's where they get this inside scoop. It's a genius plan. Think about that. Genius. All right, is that better? A little less wind.
Much
Yeah,
better.
that's good.
There we go.
Less sea breeze.
There we go. That's the
Yeah,
goal.
the tropical storm is gone.
Yeah. So Griff, we were just talking about this. Have you been watching the MJ documentary with on Sunday nights as well?
I watching is an understatement. I made like 4 cups of popcorn for this week and it was gone in the first 10 minutes. So I feel like I'm diving in head first, but yes, I have been watching it. I'm rewatching it. I loved every minute of it.
What's been your biggest takeaway so far?
I have 2 takeaways. As an NBA fan who was not alive during the MJ era, my first takeaway is, wow, I'm getting to watch firsthand what it looked like. And I think the documentary is doing a great job of that. It's not sugarcoating it. It's not hiding it. It's showing firsthand what it was like watching the greatest player of all time and one of the most dominant sports figures in the world at his prime. As a storyteller standpoint and as a sports journalism student standpoint, I'm amazed by how well this documentary crew has done at recreating it. I was a little skeptical of the first episode when I saw they were going to be doing we're going to watch part of the episode is going to be like 1998 season, and then we're going to jump back and forth. I was like, oh, I hate when they do that because you get lost so easily, especially when you're talking about 1 or 3 main characters. They're doing a great job with it. They are just really nailing just every single aspect of this documentary. I'm trying to find, it's getting to a point where every week I'm trying to find where are they going to mess up? And I can't. They needed a home run on this and they have hit it out of the park. And I think Jordan knew they would, because I think the only way he would have ever done this is if it was going to be done right. And my God, it has been.
The only way he said he accepted to do it is he saw the crew that put on the Allen Iverson documentary. It was the E60 or the 30 for 30 on Allen Iverson. And he's like, if you do it like that, I am in. And so Gonzo, like you, as a creative guy, videographer and, creative person like you are, seeing the way they're doing this is I'm finding like nitpicky things and, using them. I'm like, oh, they did that there instead of what they could have done there. But, the soundtrack to me too has just been awesome. Oh yeah. And, it kind of reminds the soundtrack really reminds me of, I don't know if you guys have seen LeBron Shut Up and Dribble on Showtime. Reminds me a lot about like that. And I think in order to tell Jordan's story, you need to chime in on that culture. And a lot of that culture is that 90s rap and that early 2000s rap. And they're doing a great job of showing what that culture was. And I think even today, when I hear, Nas or Biggie or Jay-Z even, I think of 90s NBA basketball. It's just how it works. You look at any 90s basketball documentary, if you're not going to put that rap in there, that R&B and the music at the time, you're not going to encapsulate what that culture was. And I think they've done a really good job of that. Good point there, Brady.
Are you guys surprised that ESPN is willing to let them drop F-bombs on their main channel? I know they have the censored version on ESPN2, but I was a little bit surprised at first just because that doesn't really fit with the brand image of ESPN. Mm-hmm. I thought they'd at least censor out some of the big cuss words, but they're letting it flow. I love it because I think that adds to the authenticity and really engages, our target market. Obviously the younger kids that can watch ESPN2, but I was just a little bit surprised that they let it all loose.
I'll jump in with this real quick and say, ESPN is a paid channel. So it's
Yeah.
kind of like watching HBO or kind of like watching, Showtime, any of those other channels.
They can, but I'm just surprised that they did.
And since it's a documentary, I think it is telling the best story possible. And so, yes. Go ahead.
After this podcast, I'm going to go file a Freedom of Information Act request to the FCC, and I want to know how many complaints there have been about just F-bombs being dropped on ESPN on a Sunday night at 9 p.m. But, I agree with Kaiser. You get that authenticity with it. You get that feeling of, there's real. And I'm going to be honest, it is 2020. If you haven't heard an F-bomb in your life yet, you're already behind the curve.
If you're sensitive about hearing it on TV, boo-hoo.
If you're that sensitive, guess what? You can't watch the NBA or NFL, enjoy, college soccer. But, just let's chill out a little bit, all right? It's fine. It's Scottie Pippen. If I don't want to watch a documentary, Scottie Pippen is censored because you're not going to get as fun. It's going to be like, what the hell is he saying? So
imagine trying to censor Dennis Rodman too.
God, I love
impossible.
Hey, Gonzo, you mentioned the timeline of it, and honestly, through the first 4 episodes that I watched, that was one thing that I kind of got annoyed with. And just like you said, you kind of get lost with it when they do something like that. So you mentioned that you enjoyed it. Why do you think they're doing that well?
Well, it's a lot of things. I think you can really narrow it down. If we're going from a production standpoint, the way you can narrow it down is I think it's something as small as that little graphic they show where they literally have the timeline. And it's like, okay, here we are in 1998. Now we're going to swoop back and it's going to be a smooth transition back to 1988. That is a huge difference maker. But as far as the storytelling detail shows, I think they're doing a great job of explaining 1998 Jordan did this because of this that happened in 1985. 1998 Jordan was controversial about this because of what happened. And I love the other thing that's really working right now is I think especially our generation, but especially a lot of people who are older and lived through this era, they remember, like anything else in life, they remember the big dates. So they remember Jordan's first championship. They remember the second and third. They remember when he retired. They remember when he came back. But they don't remember, Scottie Pippen just disappearing for Vegas for a week during the 98 season. They don't remember these nitpicky details that were huge storylines back in the 90s. But we don't talk about that every day. And I think that's the other reason the story works is because in a weird way, we're going back in time and we're seeing like, okay, just imagine if, I'm trying to think of the most charismatic character in the NBA today, Lance Stevenson, okay? Just imagine Lance Stevenson took a week off to go party in Vegas and we had no clue where he was. It would never happen, but it was able to happen then. I think the opportunity to disclose that in this documentary is a reason why you're finding so many people love it. And here's the thing. I'll finish with this. There are diehard Jordan fans. And, going back to that opportunity to, you could have done it year by year as a 10-part series and just covered year by year how Jordan progressed, or you could have done this flashback. The focus is The Last Dance. That's why it's the title. We're focusing on The Last Dance, but in order to get that, you need to understand what has happened. And I think they chose the very wise decision of doing the flashbacks, knowing that some people are going to hate it from a storytelling standpoint. But if we do it and we do it well enough, NBA fans and Jordan fans alike will appreciate and love it. And I think that's what you're seeing is it's hard to find an NBA fan out there right now who does not absolutely love this documentary.
Yeah. Gonzo, you hit it right on the button. They could have done it chronologically, but because the focus technically is the last season, I don't think they really could have done that. So what they're able to do with introducing characters and then flashing back and doing little segments on those characters, I think it's been masterfully done.
I think one of the best examples of that we see is when, they're showing Dennis Rodman and how he was in his time at the Bulls, different color hairs, crazy taking trips. But then you flash back to his time with the Pistons. It was so different. It was night and day. He had a buzz cut. He was, scrawny kid. He was still playing basketball instead of, doing all the extra stuff that he was doing outside of it. So I think that's a perfect transition, is to see, we even see how Dennis Rodman went from being, the normal guy to the Dennis Rodman we know now. And he's like, listen, he doesn't blame, but he's like, you can thank Madonna for that. Madonna was the one that, said, be yourself, embrace it, be yourself, which was, that's kind of cool. And then we needed Madonna in the documentary. We got Carmen Electra instead, which was fine. But the one thing I wanted to bring up real quick. One thing I wanted to bring up too is, as a sports journalist, as we all are, I one day to aspire to have the access that Ahmad Rashad had to go to Jordan's house, get in the car, and drive in Jordan's car to a playoff game. That was ridiculous.
He used to be a really good football player, so that helped, I think.
Yeah, but then he was like he was one of the best NBC reporters they had too.
You're right. He was a great reporter, but being a great athlete before, I think that helped Jordan respect him a little bit more than others.
It did.
I think the other thing that makes him so important in this documentary is I think you look at him, Ahmad, and you're just like, damn, he was a good journalist. Like, you don't realize it, and then his face was flashing all over the place early on, and I was just like, damn, I forgot about him, and two, I forgot how good he was. And you look at the best journalists today. I think some of the best journalists are people who realize that it's not just saying the who, the when, the what, the where, the why. It's the relationships you're building on the way there. Your job at the end of the day is to be a storyteller. And we are fortunate when you're covering sports, it's not as hard news as covering a murder or a shooting or anything, actual journalism have, big J journalists, as I like to call them, have to cover. All right. But sports journalism, you get to develop that relationship, and that's how you build that personality of the player. And being able to sit in that car with Jordan, and just talk with him like he's a bro, because honestly, that's what that felt like. Just added to that development of who Jordan was. And, I'm wearing my Ray-Bans today outside, or we'll be wearing them inside because I want to encapsulate what Jordan is. And I think Bradshaw helped with that.
The 2 Trey license plate was a baller move too, for Jordan.
He's just so cool. I'm sorry. He is
so cool.
I say that that was somebody asked me the other day on a podcast. They were like, well, what's the biggest difference between Jordan and LeBron? Listen, LeBron, I think, is just the all-around greatest athlete of all time. I'm not going to question that. But Jordan had the full package, man. He had the swagger, he had the skill. It's like both of them would beat the crap out of you. LeBron would do it, I think, quietly. Jordan would do it and then let you know how much you suck afterwards. Like, he did it with so much swag. I think that's what this documentary encapsulates. If I could add one more point here, Sam asked a little bit a while ago about points that you see, not hitting the documentary, about the timeline. If I can be honest with you, my biggest issue with the documentary is there were people who hated Jordan. And, whether it be because it is I thought it was way too pro Jordan. The first 4 episodes, I was like, okay, not this many people love this guy. Being from Indiana, I know the Pacer fans hated it. My brother, who is about 12 years older than me, who grew up in the Jordan era in the prime, picked Reggie Miller over Michael Jordan when playing in the driveway and pretending which player you were. He liked Reggie more. I wish we could see a little more of that side. And I was going to be honest, if they would have waited any later to bring out that gambling issue, I was going to be pissed, because it is Jordan did struggle with that. And whether he wants to admit that it's an issue or not, it's a competitiveness issue. Sure. It needed to come out at some point in this documentary. And I'm glad they did, because it's like looking at it, I don't know what I can compare it to, but you can't do controversy in your career.
Yeah, and that's one of the big things too, is when you look at this documentary, is there are people that have come out, with not I wouldn't say a hatred of Michael Jordan, but Patrick Ewing said he's not watching this. Why? Because he lived it and he doesn't need to be reminded of it. The whole Isaiah Thomas riff with him and MJ with the 92 Dream Team. Okay. Charles Barkley came out and said, listen, I don't know if my relationship will ever be repaired with Michael. So your point, like you said, is there are a lot of people, yes, who love Michael Jordan, but there are a lot of people who don't love him either.
Right. And I read an interesting article. Did you guys read the article on the Pacers Bulls Game 7 from 98? We're going to
Yeah.
see that soon in the documentary. Well, Reggie declined to comment on it because he can't even stand to talk about Jordan or that game. I mean, that's how competitive he was, and that's how much he respected Michael, but they didn't like each other. That's for sure. So I agree, Griffin. I would have liked to see some more players and maybe some more interviews or fans' portrayal of how people didn't like MJ.
And if I can, I mean, globalizing this again, sorry, but I mean, does that not speak volumes of what people thought of Kobe Bryant? I mean, you're seeing a lot of similarities between the two, their character, the competitiveness. Everyone in the NBA who had that interaction with Kobe loved Kobe. You hated playing against him, but you loved him at the end of the day. Some people who played against Michael Jordan and respected Michael Jordan hated Michael Jordan, the person. And I think
one of the big things that I mean, you brought up the Kobe point is one of the big things that I've seen just from, an outsider looking in is, we saw Kobe in today's age. We never saw Michael play. So we never really saw Michael, in the media, in public with his family and things like that. We see Kobe all the time. He always seems to have a smile on his face. Whereas like a Michael, he's always, he's always in the zone. The ability to, switch in and out of, the zone, like we saw Roy Williams saying the first week episode, that's great, but Michael never switched out of it. So, it doesn't matter what you were doing. Michael was always trying to beat you instead of trying to be friends with you. And that's the big difference for me with him and Kobe was, Kobe was, as soon as the game ends, he's smiling, he's enjoying it. Whereas Michael was always trying to win the next thing.
Yeah, good point. I mean, we could talk about this doc all day long, but Griffin, I want to get your thoughts on Earl Thomas. Great story there. So his wife, Nina.
Oh, it's a great story.
This is a great story. But really quickly.
I don't know if it's a great
laced with
story.
sarcasm.
I mean, it's
Laced with sarcasm, guys.
Before we jump into the story, can I bring up one more thing about the documentary?
Yeah, one more.
The security guard, the head of Michael's personal security he was playing quarters with, that gave him the shrug was the star of the last episode. Tell me I'm wrong.
I think you're exactly right. Wozniak was his name.
Yep.
Which, I mean, when you hear that, he looks like a Wozniak. He just looks like the crazy hair. He looks like a Woz. I can see it.
it looks like a Wozniak.
Looks like a Woz. And apparently he passed away this past January.
2017, I think it was.
Man, I would love, imagine if he was still alive. Just his social media, like right now, would be blowing up.
Oh my God.
I could totally see him as he only has a Facebook, so he's like posting memes on Facebook of himself. Like I could totally see it. But I think that's another special thing, that another layer we saw of Jordan, just how competitive it is. He didn't care if you were worth $10 billion or worth, whatever you were getting in your next paycheck. He just wanted.
That was one of the stories too we saw when they were on the team playing. Is they'd be playing poker in the back of the plane for $10,000 a hand, and then he comes to the front to play with John Paxson. He's like, we're playing for $1 a hand. He's like, I just want to take your money and your money. I don't care how much it is. I just want to have your money.
That's the special thing. We've heard all these stories. Now we get to see it.
Exactly.
And it's been awesome.
Earl Thomas.
Yeah. Yes. Wife Nina walks in. He's in bed with another woman. Okay. And his brother. All I'm going to say is he's lucky that she didn't shoot him.
Yeah.
I mean, my God.
This can flow right into our next segment called Daily Stupidity, which I think this fits perfectly in. And this was going to be my Daily Stupidity too. But I'll say this now. The balls on Earl Thomas. Oh my goodness. Not literally, figuratively.
Going to say, better clarify there.
Yeah.
Let me say this. You know what? As crazy as that story is, and credit to Earl Thomas for coming out before it even was released and acknowledging it.
Do you know what he said when he acknowledged it?
Yeah.
Stuff like this happens.
Yeah. Like a typical
No,
thing.
it doesn't.
I'm not agreeing with the
Like a
dialogue.
typical Thursday for him.
I'm not agreeing with the dialogue of it. I'm agreeing with the fact that, so often I think we get caught up in this PR thing and we want to say everything right. and we want our team to say it for us, and we want to be like, no, we're not going to comment about it this time. Sometimes, man, I'll tell you, as a journalist, I just wanted somebody to come up and tell me what the hell they feel about it. And that's exactly what he did last night. And yes, is it stupid? Incredibly stupid to come out and just say, oh, man, yeah, your wife pointed a gun at you because you're in a three-way with your brother and some chick in bed at home. Listen, quarantine's getting the best of all of us, but damn, you can't write this stuff, man. This is great. And it's very on brand for out of all people. I mean, Earl Thomas, not incredibly surprised. This was the guy who waited outside the Cowboys locker room after losing to shake hands with Jerry and Garrett and just say, what's up? Because he wanted to play there. He writes his own stories for us, guys. I mean, I'm not expecting this, but this kind of behavior isn't out of the blue.
There's two other like weird stories about NFL players off the field that I can think of kind of comparable to this. Plaxico Burress shooting himself in the leg and then going to jail for it. And then Jason Pierre-Paul blowing up his hand, messing around with fireworks. I mean, this kind of fits in that weird NFL off the field category.
I would throw Jeremy Tunstill's gas mask hours before the NFL draft out there. I mean, they were acting like ESPN was acting like this was like JFK being shot. Like, I mean, this was going to change the draft. This was going to change the way we looked at players. And like you had Mel Kiper saying how social media is, this first, whatever coming of the apocalypse. Like it was crazy how they were blowing that. So, and look, now he's an all-pro offensive lineman in the NFL. Like, but I think these stories, I will say, I don't know who is it. Is it NFL or is it NFL current players that you kind of know, or is it NBA veterans who have been out of the spotlight for a few years, who just come in like at the weirdest times with these strangest storylines you cannot make up?
Gilbert Arenas bringing a gun to the locker room.
Yeah.
Meta World Peace changed his name again last week.
The Panda's friend.
That Gilbert Arenas story kind of crosses the weird threshold and also the kind of serious threshold.
Yeah.
It kind of straddles that line right there. I don't know what to think about it, but
I'd say the Arenas one was different because it actually involved NFL or NBA facilities and an actual NBA locker room instead of what a man does on a Thursday night in his own bedroom.
Yeah.
Look, I got 2 words. I have 2 words to kind of summarize the Earl Thomas thing. This league.
It's fantastic. I mean, you can't write anything better than like you could tell me yesterday, hey, something's going to happen in the NFL tonight. Something just totally random. I want you to write just a quick headline of what you think it is. It can be as random as hell because you're never going to guess it. I would have never guessed, 1, Earl Thomas, 2, the randomness of just his brother with some other chick in bed and then getting caught by the wife. And then the wife's first reaction is to grab a gun and point it.
And
this is what you see on Ballers on HBO, like with The Rock.
This is why we gotta mic up players.
Yeah.
This is why we need players mic'd up.
On and off the field, of course.
All I know is I want Earl Thomas keeping up with the Thomases reality series on E! Now. I just want that coming out as soon as possible.
And then somehow he's able to wrestle the gun away from her. And the cops come and she's chasing him with a knife when they get there.
She gets arrested.
I mean, it was, I don't want to say classic because nothing's really ever been reported like that before. But
what about when Calvin Hayden got stabbed in the leg by his wife?
Yeah.
Bottom line, guys, here's the end of the day. My dad has a great line when it comes to women that I pass on to everyone I know. Rent, don't buy.
Wow.
Always.
Wow.
Wow.
Oh my God.
Interesting.
Griffin Gonzalez, a relationship expert he's become since high school.
Or, the whole, like, if you get married, maybe stay a little loyal, maybe try to hide that, maybe not in your own home with your brother, and it just gets too hairy, guys.
So I don't know if there's a quick backstory on the Earl Thomas thing is, his wife was yelling at him for drinking too much earlier in the day. And so
my wife's yelling at me, I'm going to go have a threesome with my brother.
He's like, screw this. He calls his brother picks him up, and then she goes to find him later in the night. So that was like the second fight they got in during the day. And who would have thought that her yelling at him for drinking too much would be the least of his worries?
I just want the transcript of the meeting he's going to have with Goodell. I just want that transcript of whatever's going to be said. Is it going to sound like Kavanaugh? Is it going to be like, I like beer? Like, I can hear it. I can hear it coming out now. I would love, there's a few.
How many women? 10 more, 20 more, 30.
There's a couple transcripts
Here,
from
hold on.
Goodell's office I need to have. I would like to have that one. I'd like to have the Tom Brady one. I would like to have
Robert Kraft. Robert Kraft.
The Robert Kraft one would be good. And I wonder if he's even having these meetings in his office. Maybe Goodell wants to play like he's a cool guy. So maybe we're going to have this meeting in his basement with the cool TV.
In the chair.
I can see that happen. Yeah, in the chair. He's going to sit back in his
chair like this.
So I want 3 keys for Earl Thomas. I want 3 keys for Earl Thomas's brother. I want 3 keys for the girl that was in the bed. I want 3 keys for the wife.
And the dog in the corner.
And the dog in the corner, yeah.
Well, I mean, the first question for the female who was not involved with his family at all, I feel bad for her. She just got caught in a terrible situation. If I'm her, I want to be financially secure. That's my first worry. I think the wife, I hope she does not have a prenup, because go her. She's going to have a field day with that one. You know what, man? Here's my question. I don't think we talk about this enough when these stories come out and these athletes have kids. Like, these kids are going to have phones soon. And they're going to we all Google our parents, let alone when your parent is an NFL athlete. And this kid is going to Google Earl Thomas in 20 years even. And it's going to come up, Bleacher Report, Earl Thomas caught in bed with brother and sister. And just this entire storyline. And the kid's going to be asking his dad about, those are the conversations I want to be prone to when that comes up.
Dad, tell me about your 3-way with Uncle Ricky.
Oh, jeez. I mean,
Oh man, there's a world of stories here.
So much.
I 3 words for me to sum this all up. People are stupid. There we go. And I think we can all agree that that qualifies for our daily stupidity. So there we go.
Is he signed anywhere?
Yeah, he's with the Ravens.
Have they released a comment?
No, because it was scheduled release day.
I thought they had a quote in the article.
Their PR team just has to have a world of
I'll tell you this. Let me tell you this real quick. The head of the Ravens PR is one Mr. guy named Chad Steele, who is the brother of Sage Steele. So, little tie back there. Chad's been working in the NFL for 20 plus years. So he knows what he's doing at this point.
I just it's have you guys ever seen those videos of college humor where it's Google if Google was a person?
Oh yeah.
That's what I imagine the Ravens PR office is like. Just okay. And how did she get a gun? Do you own a gun? Did you or why were you with your brother in bed? How did that come up? I just imagine the conversations that occur at the PR office. It's got to be fantastic.
Yeah, it's got to be top tier information going on in these transcripts and in these meetings. It's got to be.
I doubt he ever gets elected to a Pro Bowl again. I'll just say that.
I think you're wrong. He's damn good. He's damn good.
He's getting older. I think a third of the Pro Bowl voting is fans. Just saying.
You're telling me you wouldn't love to see him in Miami have another one of these stories pop up Pro Bowl week?
I mean, yeah, I guess they might vote for him just because they think it'd be funny to see him in Miami. I mean, that's a good point. but a lot of people might not like him now.
Wasn't Richie Incognito a Pro Bowler again?
Honestly, since that bullying scandal, he's had a fantastic career. I'm gonna be honest with you. He is. No one knew who he was before this, and now he's on the Titans, like all pro. He's fantastic. He led the Titans offensive unit. Like he was at the Bills.
That's a Mike Vrabel guy. That is a Mike Vrabel guy right there. Big football guy.
Hey, all publicity is good publicity.
Keep telling yourself that, Sam.
Sure.
Thanks. I will.
Man. Griff, dude, it was great to see you.
It was great to see you guys, man. You guys are getting old.
Yeah.
So I still got 2 years of college. You guys are out doing real life.
No, we're not. No one's hiring. So,
Yeah.
That's always.
Yeah.
Well, if I can leave you on one question, I'm curious. Is there anything other than Michael Jordan in the Bulls that you could do a 10-part ESPN 30 for 30 series on? I'm curious because somebody asked me this question 2 weeks ago. I still can't come up with an answer.
You know, I think when it's all said and done, we're going to get one on, LeBron going from Cleveland to Miami back to Cleveland. But those couple years in Miami are going to be awesome to see because of the star power they had. But I cannot wait for the whole episode, one entire episode in that documentary, focused purely on Lance Stevenson and LeBron's back and forth. It's going to be a whole episode.
If I can be honest, the one thing I think it'd be worth a 10-part documentary would be the Patriots.
Yes, that's what I was going to say.
About it, it's like Belichick won't allow cameras in the locker room, won't allow that.
Yeah.
So all you're going to have to feed off of that is interviews, game footage, and post-game pressers, and some Patriots approved content. So you're not going to have that behind the scene feel.
If there was a subject to do it on, I agree it would be the Patriots, but there's no way, you're right, that they could have that type of access.
I will tell you this, though. Kobe Bryant had a film crew follow him around for his final season with the Lakers.
Yeah.
So that'll be pretty cool. I think there's one that I would really love to see is the relationship between Jordan and Aaron Rodgers.
Is that a relationship?
I'm sorry, Aaron Rodgers and Jordan Rodgers, his brother who he
I was like, Michael Jordan and Aaron Rodgers are friends?
No. Aaron Rodgers and Jordan Rodgers.
Well, I don't know if you guys saw this today while we're on the topic of just sports documentaries and stuff, but ESPN's releasing one later this month on Roy Halladay and E60.
That looks so good.
Yeah.
And I'm going to be honest with you guys. Can't stand baseball. I've never been a baseball guy. I grew up Central Indiana. I'm basketball, football, and maybe on a good day, a third sport if I'm feeling it. But, I will say, that whole idea of perfection and how it can make people sick, especially athletes. Yeah. I think there's going to be a beautiful message in that. And if I can chime in one more thing about the Jordan documentary, I know people were giving them, this is a sports media thing, and I know you guys are going to agree with me on this, but not a lot of people pointed this out, which kind of made me mad. The whole Barack Obama secondary slate thing. All right. Now, you guys know this. When you're doing a story and you use an individual with numerous titles, you use the title that is more accurate to what pertains to the story. When you're talking about the culture of Chicago, President of the United States does not help. However, Chicago native does.
However, when he was in this past episode, they had former President Barack Obama.
And why was that? Because
it was his second appearance.
They were talking about political landscape.
Whatever they were talking about, use the title that's relevant to the time period, and they did.
And the second time, people were like, "Oh, they get it right." They changed it.
Same thing with Bill Clinton too. They did the same one with Bill Clinton. They had Arkansas governor.
Yeah, but guess what? I mean, you change it a little bit when they started talking about how Jordan said, Republicans buy sneakers too. Yes, he did say that. And they had Obama commenting as the president of the United States because as the first African-American president, he can talk about race and politics a lot. He's probably one of the best people to interview about it.
Yeah.
So, I think we got that because we're smarter than everybody else.
Bingo.
Yeah, I mean, honest. We were
Yeah.
trained and raised by the Brian Spielbeller. We know what we're doing.
Yes, we do.
We got to get we got to get him on the show, man.
We'll get him on. We'll get him on.
If there's
Well,
anybody to
guys,
talk
thank-
about perfection, it would be Brian Spielbeller.
18 out of 25s all around, boys.
Guys, I think I can get Danny Pinner for next week, and if we could get Brian Spielbeller on the same show, it'd be a loaded show.
Loaded show. Let's do it.
Talk about
Ooh.
we could talk so much offensive lineman stuff.
Oh, man. That'd be
Oh.
awesome.
Yes.
Griffin Gonzalez, former offensive lineman.
That's a stretch. That is a big stretch.
He just kind of
You
stood
know
it.
him. You might know him from being number 56 on the football field. That's all I can say.
JV.
David, of course.
Hey now. We leave our high school radio mistakes in the past.
Hey,
And
hey,
it's-
never forget when Sam was a running back.
Whoa!
That's right.
I forgot about this information.
Sam
That's
was
right.
a running back freshman year.
So Brady and I were talking to Spill last week, and he told me my PAI score would be 0 point something.
Yeah,
I highly disagree with that. I feel like I would have at least a 1.2. Like
I think you're wrong.
I know, like, I've lost weight since high school. Like I'm a little more-
1.2. All right, you have lost some weight. Let's go ask Phil. I'll send him a text after and ask him who was a 1.2. Who
Give
would a
me a
1.2?
Why don't you be like Aaron Rodgers? I'll be like, all right,
Yeah,
never mind.
Never mind.
If
It's like
only
Peyton
we
Manning was a 1.2 because he didn't run a fast 40.
if only we had Spill that Saturday morning we ran 40-yard dashes in the senior hallway.
Oh,
and
man.
during a break of our show.
We came back, we were all winded. Like, that's not a good idea.
Yo, me and Brady were out of breath, man.
Dude, out of shape.
Oh my goodness.
So many
guys,
shenanigans.
I appreciate you guys having me on. I love talking to Doc. I will say I'm super excited. I think the next 2 weeks they're going to dive in head first. I think you're going to see. You thought the first 6 weeks were good. The next 2 weeks you're going to just hit like punches.
Was Phil
constantly.
Jackson one of the coolest guys in all of the 90s? Yes or no?
Is he not still one of the coolest
Dude,
guys?
so cool.
Got
I'd
so
love-
much swagger.
Is he in Montana now?
I think so.
Phil Jackson doesn't live anywhere. He lives in the moment. Actually, he's one of those guys. Let's be
Okay.
honest.
Yeah.
But so yeah, guys, thanks for having me on. Always good catching up with you three, and keep it going.
See you, Griff.
See you, buddy.
What a guy.
What a guy. Always fun to just have people drop in the show.
Guys, we went 3 hours, not 3 hours. God, it's 3:17. We went 1 hour and 17 minutes.
Ooh, a marathon.
Good show.
Really good show. Well done, gentlemen.
Yeah.
Round of applause for us.
Yeah. I
So-
did want to say something.
Yeah.
Remind me who the reporter was that drove with Jordan in his
Ahmad
part of
Rashad.
the playoff game. Who was that?
Ahmad Rashad.
Okay. So is that comparable to when I drove Anthony Calhoun's Jeep or his Hummer to a Colts game and dropped him off? Does that count?
No.
No, not at all.
That's called being an intern, Sam. That's called being an intern.
Yeah.
I
and
mean,
then had to get his dinner afterwards.
Yeah, and then pick up his dry cleaning and buff his shoes.
part of the
Yeah.
gig. It is what it is.
Yeah.
We experienced that firsthand, but oh well.
That's right. That's right.
Well, guys, hopefully we can get our boy Danny and maybe Brian on next week's episode. But
Yeah.
we've talked to two of our favorite Carmel alums, and we're doing well, gentlemen. Another good
It's been
show.
fun. It's been
Yeah.
fun.
All right, let's peace out. Let's rest
Yeah, having fun.
the vocal pipes and come back in a week. All right.
Beautiful.
All right. See you, fellas.
See you, gentlemen.
Sounds good. See you guys.